Thanks for joining me. This is Danny, and welcome back to my RealTech series, episode number 24, in which we are going to take a look at a mod called Rustic. I have in my hand the Almanac for Rustic. This is the book that's going to tell us all about the mod. So this mod has some nice decorative blocks that are medieval themed. It also has some crops that it adds, along with some fun agricultural mechanics and trees. It also adds some alchemy mechanics that we can use to craft some really nice elixirs, and we also have barrels that we can use for brewing different alcoholic beverages that will enhance our player and are really fun and interesting to brew. So let's start out by taking a look at some of these decorative blocks, such as these gargoyles, these barrels, which are inventory blocks, and I've got a few decorations in the house too, like these chandeliers. There's also a stone or a block that spawns in the world called Slate. This can be placed in the world as a decorative block, and it also has a few different variants, such as this slate roof slab, which actually makes a nice path block. So that is all from Rustic. There's quite a bit more decorative blocks, such as the crossed clay, and then we also have some chairs and tables with variants of all the vanilla woods, and then also Rustic's woods as well. So that'll transition us into the agricultural area. There are 3 trees added by this mod. There is the Ironwood Tree, and this is a tree that when we cut it down will give us some useful bits. First of all, we get the iron wood, which is actually a pretty nice looking wood that has this plank. Again, it's kind of a rustic looking plank, and it does have stairs and slabs and chairs and tables that follow this, as well as fences. And then we also get, of course, we're going to get some ironwood saplings, and then we're also going to get some of these iron berries, these iron berries. There are a few different things that we can do with these berries. Now, first of all, they are fruit. We can just eat them as fruit. We can also get a berry juice from them by crushing them in here, and we can actually get iron from them, iron nuggets. And we'll take a look at the exact process on how to do that eventually. Theoretically, you could kind of have an iron farm, a renewable iron farm, using this tree farm and setting up some automation. Oh, we got 5 there. You're going to end up needing about 2 trees per iron ingot. So you'll end up with a whole lot of wood, but you'll get kind of free-ish or renewable iron anyway. So the other kind of tree is this olive wood tree, and similar to the ironwood tree, you do have to cut it down in order to get its wares. So of course we get the olive wood, which also has a really nice looking plank. This is one of the nicest looking woods, I think, in Minecraft. I really like this one. I'm actually using that for this fence. So this is the olive wood fence. And then again, it also has slabs and stairs and such. So this one might look like a regular old oak tree, but this is an apple tree. So the apple tree has oak wood. It's similar to an oak tree in Minecraft, but it has apples. You can see there are apples growing in the tree, and you don't have to cut this tree down in order to get the apples. So we can just right click to pick the apple. Hooray! And then more apples will grow. Now, if you break the leaf, you'll also get the apple, but more won't grow if you break it. So it's best to just right click to get your apples, and then you can just leave the tree there and get apples from it forever. The ironwood trees and the olive trees you can find in the world, and that's of course how you would get the saplings. You cut down the tree to get the sapling, of course. The apple trees do not. Those you have to generate. You have to get yourself some apple seeds. So in order to get apple seeds, what we're going to do is we're going to take an apple. You can take any old apple, because these are just regular vanilla apples. Stick it in a crushing tub, and then jump on it. And you get seeds. You get 1 or 2 seeds from an apple, and then you also get a little bit of apple juice. And then you can take, now it's probably not enough. I think we need 4 apples in order to fill up this thing. Yeah, we need a few more apples in there, so we can do, just gonna do 3 more apples. And then jump on these, and we're gonna get a bunch more seeds. And then we can, oh, actually we didn't need quite that many. I ended up with a torch in there. Okay, so now we have some apple juice. We can drink the apple juice. It'll get us some saturation even when we are not hungry, which is nice. It doesn't give us fruit from the nutrition mod, so that could be useful if you're playing this pack where your nutrition cannot go above 99% or you will lose your buffs. But more importantly, we can ferment the apple juice into cider, and we'll play around with that later and have some fun, because that's kind of a fun process. So once you have an apple seed, you can plant it in the world just like this, and it will eventually grow into a sapling. So if we bone meal this, we'll see we have apple seeds, and now we have an apple sapling, and which will eventually grow into an apple tree. Although sometimes it does. I find that these do take quite a bit of bone mealing in order to get them to work. And then once you break these, like if you cut down an apple tree with apple leaves, you will end up then with apple saplings that you can use to plant more apple seeds, or apple trees. Rustic also has a lot of nice storage options. So we have these barrels, which we looked at before. These are basically like a chest. We can also make these pots, which are like this. They act like a chest too, and there are multiple variants. If we hit the shift key and scroll, you can see there are lots of different colored pots and different decorations and things like that. There's also a liquid barrel. The liquid barrel, obviously we can store liquid in it. It has an open top. You can see what liquid is in it. You can pick it up and carry liquid around, which is nice. If you just have a barrel sitting out in the world that's empty, it will collect rainwater, and then you'll end up with water in the barrel. So then some other things that spawn in the world are these wildberry bushes. These give us wild berries, which we can eat as fruit, except I can't now because I'm not hungry. We can also put these in the crushing barrel and crush them into wildberry fruit, which we can then ferment into wildberry wine. We'll take a look at that later. And then we also have multiple herbs that spawn all over the place in the world. When we get into elixirs later on, we'll take a look at these herbs in detail. But these things, they spawn in different parts of the world, or different biomes, sometimes different elevations. Usually different biomes. There's actually one that spawns in the nether. There are a couple of ones that we can eat. We can eat the ginseng root, and that just acts as a vegetable if you have the nutrition mod. We can replant these, and as you can see, I got 3 of them when I picked it up once it was ripe. We can just plant them on regular old grass. We can also plant them on farmland. And then we have this fertile soil as well. Fertile soil is actually pretty easy to make. All it is just dirt and bone meal. And that will allow us to basically grow crops. And it'll be saturated with water. And we can jump on it and it doesn't break. So we can grow these plants on that. We can also grow it just on regular old grass. And some of them will even grow on other things, such as obviously the deathstalk. A mushroom will grow on netherrack. There are a few different seeds that we can get when we break grass. There are grape seeds, there are chili pepper seeds, and there are tomato seeds. Now, the chili peppers, we cannot grow these just in regular soil or farmland unless there's a stake on it. So over here, I've got these stakes that are sticking into fertilized soil. We can, of course, use farmland here as well. And we can right-click on that. On the stake, and it will plant it there. Now we can't do that on this stake because there's no soil underneath it. So that is chili peppers, and the chili pepper will obviously grow this chili pepper vegetable, which we can eat, and we can also do other things with it that we will see later. They can grow up to 2 high. Now the tomatoes are similar. We can't plant them here, but we can plant them here, and they will grow up to 3 high. And they will only grow to the next stage if they have fruit. So if we bone meal this, it will grow, and we'll get fruit. We can right click on that to get the chili pepper. The chili pepper, when we eat it, actually I can't eat it right now. It does give us a little bit of damage because it's very hot and spicy. But we will find some other more useful things to do with it later. And you can actually use it with Pam's Harvest Craft stuff too. It is addicted with chili peppers from other mods, so you can use it to make recipes that require chili peppers. Now, because this has peppers on it, if we don't pick those peppers, it will eventually grow into the next spot. The same with tomatoes. We can pick the tomato, and we can use that with Pam's Harvest Craft, and we can just eat it as well. But I'm going to bone meal this one again so that we can watch it grow. And these guys can be bone mealed as well. Now I did find that I have serene seasons installed in this pack. These guys do not grow in the winter. They seem to grow in every other season, but not in the winter. You can bone meal it all you want, and nothing will happen. It won't even consume your bone meal. So then the grapes, the grape seeds, again, all three of these seeds you get from breaking grass, all grass in the world. The grape seeds you can plant on fertile soil. However, you will not get anything from them just like this. So if we bone meal this guy, we will see that eventually we're just going to get the stem, and then nothing will happen to that stem until we put some string up here. So this rope from Rustic is a nice decorative block that we can use. We could theoretically use it to hang things. We can actually climb on it, but it's also useful for growing grapes. So if we click on here, it will basically attach the rope to this this pole or this wooden stake, and then from there we can run the rope across here. Now that will give the grapevine something to attach to, and then eventually it will spread out in this direction. Of course, we can bone meal it to make it happen faster, and if we bone meal it again, we get grapes. Now that's the only place that grapes will grow, is 1 block away from the grape seed on the rope. So this is how you grow grapes. Now grapes, again, they are a fruit that we can eat like any other fruit. We can also squish them in the crushing tub and ferment them into wine. Oh, as we can see, our chili peppers over here have grown to the next level. Another nice thing about the rope is that you can climb on it. And what's really neat is that if you're up somewhere really high, like let's say we're up on top of the roof, you can right click on this and it will place the blocks below it. So then we could then jump down and grab onto the rope and make our way out. And then if we break this one, it breaks them all. And then we can hang things from it. And a similar block is the chain block. So I have chains up here, and then I have the chandelier basically attached to the chain. I forgot to mention that you can eat olives. They are fruit. And you can also crush them for olive oil. How many did I put in there? 3. Okay, I put 4 in there. So I can crush those down, and I can take a glass bottle and grab the olive oil. Now, you don't necessarily, you can drink olive oil and it will give you food, but you don't want to. It's going to make you nauseous. It's very heavy. Like, you know, if you drink a bottle out of olive oil, you're not going to feel too great, but you can mix it with food. So now the interesting thing is, it's going to add food points to the food. It's also going to add saturation, but it's not going to reflect. It's not going to be reflected here. But you will see that this is an apple. It's an olive oiled apple, and when we eat it, we will actually get more food out of it. This, again, this is something that's going to be really nice if you have the nutrition mod and it's capped out. Like for us, we can't go up to 100% or we lose our buffs. So if I have an apple, I'm still only going to get 0.5% of nutrition from this, but I'm going to get 2 points of food from it. And you can olive oil any food. In fact, if we look up olive oil and we right click on it, you will see there are 345 pages. So it basically registers every food as being able, anything that's edible, you can mix with olive oil and it'll add nutrition to it, or it'll not nutrition, it'll add food points and saturation to it. So throughout the world, you'll be seeing beehives such as this one. These are not dangerous. You can get close to them. They won't hurt you. You can break them. And when you break the beehive, you will get a bee and some honeycombs, usually a few honeycombs. And you could put them inside of an apiary, such as this one. When you do, they will reproduce, and eventually you will end up with a full stack of honeycombs and bees. And they will also cause plants around them to grow more quickly in a 4-block radius. So these grapes are probably benefiting from it, as well as these chili peppers. As you can see, the chili peppers are already completely fully grown. The tomatoes are less so because they're further away from the apiary. Actually, these ones took a lot longer to grow too than those did. Don't they look nice? Look at that. Look how nice they look. All these crops, they look really nice. And then we can take this, we can take these honeycombs. So I'll just take a few of them out, and we can get this beeswax from them. The beeswax we can then use to make candles. You can also make candles from, 2 of them were produced just in that little bit of time there. We can also make candles from rotten flesh too. And then if you take the honeycombs and you put them in a barrel or in a crushing tub, you get honey, which we can then use to make mead, which we will be taking a look at very, very soon. By the way, if you end up with too much of something in the crushing tub and you want to use the crushing tub to do something else, you can take an empty hand and right-click on it, and it'll just void it. Also, most of the crushing tub recipes also work in the squeezer from Immersive Engineering. Now let's get into some fun stuff. Making wine. So these are wine barrels, or brewing barrels, essentially. I have a whole bunch of these set up at once because, as you will see, they take a long time to make, and they may not turn out the way we want to. So we want to have lots of them going at the same time. There are 6 different types of brews that we can make, different types of alcoholic beverages that we can ferment, and they all have different properties, and they will give us different benefits if they are good quality and if they are done properly. So first of all is alewort. This is going to make us ale, which will potentially get us a full stomach effect, which will basically reduce hunger damage. So if we run out of food, it will prevent us from getting hungry. The next is apple juice. I'm actually going to just put 1 of these in here. We can put up to 8 buckets of juice in here. This is where we put the thing that we want to ferment. We'll take a look at what those other slots are for in a little bit. I'm going to put 1 in here. So this is going to make an apple cider, or a cider, basically. Might as well take those buckets out, because we're going to want to reuse them. And ironberry juice will make an ironberry wine, which will potentially give us additional absorption hearts that never wear out. And then we have honey, which will make mead. The mead, what does the mead do for us? Mead applies a wither reduction effect. So if we're going to go fight the wither or something, mead would be a really good thing to have. And as we saw before, we get the honey from the crushing tub. And then wildberry juice. This is going to give us wildberry wine, and the wildberry wine will increase any potion effects that we have. It will increase them all to level 3, I believe it is. And then the grape juice will increase the duration of any potion effects that we currently have. So it takes 10 minutes for this brewing process to take place. So we're going to move on to something else for a little while we're waiting for this. And then basically what's going to happen is when it's done, we are going to get a ale, or whatever it happens to be, an ale or a wine or a cider, that is of a particular quality, and that quality will be randomized. It'll be anywhere from 0 to 1, so 0.0 to 0.1, with anything below 0.5, we're just going to throw away. It's no good. It's going to make us sick. Anything above 0.5, we're going to then use in order to make some better stuff. 10 minutes have gone by, and all of our brews are complete. So let's see what we got. So this is our ale, one of our ales. It's a quality of 27.27. This is no good. We may as well just get rid of this. So you can actually, how does that work? Put it in your crafting grid to clear it out. So anything less, like I said, anything less than 0.5 is going to be pretty much garbage. So this is garbage too. We can get rid of that. Oh, I keep wanting to right click in the air. This one, the cider, it's close. We might want to think about that. I would say we might want to think about that because now what happens is, actually let's look at this one. This cider is 0.67. That's good. We want to keep that for sure. This is 0.15. That's terrible. That's terrible. This is good. 0.75. Now that is actually the highest random value you can get. So we definitely want to keep this mead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of this mead, actually, after I sleep. I'm going to grab some of this mead. Well, I'm going to grab all of it, and I'm going to put it over here in the culture. So this, basically what it does is it means that now if we make mead here, and I squished 5 bottles of honey, this mead that this honey makes is going to be very close to this quality. It's either going to go down 1 point to 0.074, or it's going to go up 4 points to 0.079, which actually I think the maximum is 0.075. So by doing this, we know that we're always going to get a good quality mead from this. So, and that's why I'm making so much, because, hey, it's good. It's going to be good stuff. So this we can throw away. I really want the iron stuff. So hopefully we can get a good quality iron, because that's going to give us absorption. And the nice thing about the absorption that this gives you is that it's permanent. So you will get those hearts, and until you get hit and you lose or take some damage and lose those hearts, they will be there for you. So let's see what we got here. 0.7 mead. This one is terrible. And obviously, since we have that really good mead, we don't really care to keep that. Wildberry wine. This one is actually pretty good. So we'll probably want to keep that as a culture. This one is terrible. We want to get rid of that. And this one, let's see how good this one is. 37. Okay, so this one is terrible. Okay, so all three of these I'm going to get rid of. So now this one that's 0.049, we could use that as a culture, and we might end up getting something that's 0.5 or better. So if we put that in here and then we make some more wine, it may actually be a good wine. I'm probably not going to rely solely on that. I'm probably going to make another bucket or two of wine. So we have our first good quality of something that we can drink. So this is mead. The mead, if I remember correctly, is going to give us the wither ward. So drink that, and we got wither ward for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Hooray! Is there anything else ready here? I've got some wildberry juice going on and some grape juice going on to make some wine and wildberry wine. I've also done a whole bunch of different iron berries, just to increase the chance that we're going to get something decent. So I ended up cutting down a bunch of ironberry trees, and then I planted some more, or ironwood trees. All right, the iron wine is done. Let's see what we got. 0.07. So it looks like the iron wine, it has a better chance of being bad, because, yeah, we've gotten a lot of really bad iron wine. And finally, we have a 0.59. Yay! Good, good. So we now have a good culture for iron. We got a 0.74 mead. We looked at that already. Let's see. I'll put the iron up here. So the good one is 0.59. We want to put this over here. And now that is our culture. So now when we make more iron wine, it will have a quality close to. Do I want to show you what happens when I drink this? Maybe. I got inebriated, I got nausea, and I obviously took some damage. Oh my gosh, nausea for 4 minutes. That was a terrible idea. So inebriated is an effect. Sorry about the nausea. Inebriated is an effect that doesn't do anything, necessarily, until you get into the higher levels of the effect. When you're in the low levels of inebriated, you have a better chance of getting a higher level. So any type of alcoholic beverage, whether it's a poor quality or a good quality, has the potential to make you inebriated. And inebriation, like I said, isn't a problem until you get to level 3, and then you start actually, this is one of the effects you get from inebriation, 3 or 4. You can get nausea, you can get mining fatigue, I believe it is, and blindness, I think, at level 4. So now we're going to get into some alchemy. We're going to make some elixirs, which are kind of like potions, except that they can stack. And we can't make splash potions. They're just regular potions. So there are two levels of alchemy that we can do in here. Making an alchemic condenser. That's the first tier, and it's just made with regular bricks, a bucket, and terracotta. And it also requires a couple of alchemic retorts. We're actually gonna skip right to the advanced because we're at that point in the game. Now this you can make really early game, as you can see, and you can make some pretty nice things with it. The advanced alchemical condenser does require another brick and a block of iron, and then we have to make 3 of the advanced alchemical retorts. So it does take up a little bit more space, and it requires obviously more materials and we have to have been to the nether. So we have to place 3 of these things, and they have to be facing toward that. So you can just click right on the alchemical condenser, and we want to see that little connection being made there. And then we should be able to right-click. Yeah, right-click on this guy, and we have this little GUI. So the difference between the advanced alchemical condenser and the regular one is that this one has 3 slots over here, and it also has this slot where the regular one just has 2 slots. So we can do everything that we can do in the regular one in here, and more. So there are multiple different types of elixirs. Instant health, there's regen, there's wither, night vision, speed, health boost, haste, strength, iron skin, feather, and blazing trail. So obviously most of these we already know what they are because we get these in vanilla. But then there are a few additional ones. Now the simple ones, as you can see, we can make this in the simple alchemy, the instant health with just raw beef and chamomile and some water. And then we need some sort of fuel to burn. We can also do this in the advanced alchemical one. But if we want to get into the instant health 2, or let's say regen for instance, then we will need the advanced alchemical, and then we can also do longer ones. So we're going to be using these herbs that we looked at earlier. I'm just going to look at a few of these. I'm not going to look at every single one. You can just use JAI to find out what you want, and then right-click on it, and it'll tell you exactly what ingredients you need. If you want to know where to find the different herbs, you can look in the Rustic manual. I'll tell you a few of them that are a little harder to find. Like I said, the base root you find in caves. This Cloud's Bluff you find in mountains. It is one of the ones, there are 3 that you can eat. You can eat, or 4 actually. The 3 roots you can eat, the core root, the ginseng root, and the marshmallow root. You can eat all those, they just basically give you some food. The Cloud's Bluff gives you food, but it also gives you levitation. We'll take a look at that, but before we do, let's find a way to maybe not die when we levitate, and we can do that using the Elixir of Feather. So this is going to require the Cloud's Bluff, also a feather, and some paper. We can do a 3-minute one, and we can do an 8-minute one. Okay, so you can bucket water into this. I actually just put a Magneticraft water generator under it, which basically provides an infinite water supply, so it is filling up with water right now. I'm going to put a couple of these in there. Cloud's Bluff, and we need a paper as well. By the way, another nice thing about this fertile soil is that we can place sugarcane on it, and it doesn't need water. Check that out. Okay, so I've got an elixir set up here. We're going to do Cloud's Bluff. Actually, let's just start with one of these. Feather, even though it's actually cheap enough. And that, and then we want to put some fuel in there, and now it's going to start burning. So this is going to make us the Elixir of Feather. Actually, I kind of would want to do... The horsetail is kind of like redstone with potions. This will increase the duration of things. Marshmallow root is kind of like glowstone. So we put the horsetail up here, and we'll throw another Cloud's Bluff in there and another feather, and now this is going to give us one for 7 minutes. So we'll see in a minute what the Elixir of Feather does. The Elixir of Iron Skin basically gives us armor points and protection points, whether we're wearing armor or not. So it'll increase the amount of protection that we have. And there's our Elixir of Feather, 8 minutes. So here's what I'm going to do so that we can try this out. And by the way, the Elixir of Blazing Trail, it sets the ground on fire underneath you. So when you walk around, you end up with a blazing trail. I'm not really sure why you want that. But yeah, that's what that does for you. Not really sure why you would want the Elixir of Wither either, but that's what you use the Deathstalk mushroom. We eat the Cloud's Bluff. We levitate. For 17 seconds. So before we run out of levitation, I'm going to take this Elixir of Feather. I drank them both. Darn it. Stupid. So I'm floating up, so if you want to get up someplace really high, this is a good way to do it. And then the feather makes us float down really softly. Let's make this a little bit more dramatic, because why not? Oh my gosh. All right, we are up really freaking high right now. I'm going to dismount the ship. I'm standing on top of the ship right now. I'm actually going to break it, and I'm going to fall. But as you can see, I'm not falling very fast. It's a nice slow descent. Yay. One that does not result in death. Hooray! Another one I want to show you because I think it's kind of interesting. Clay, leather, and an ironberry. So yet another use for ironberries. This one is the Elixir of Iron Skin. I'm just going to do the 3-minute one. Just for fun, we're going to take some wild berry wine as well. So here we have an Elixir of Iron Skin. When we take it, you'll see we got some extra armor points. And our skin is iron. What the heck is that? I have no armor on right now, and you can see I have 1.5 armor points, and I have a bunch of actually some of that is from the nutrition mod. But now if we take this wild berry wine, something else will happen. We get a little bit of nutrition. All of our stuff went up. It'll go up to a maximum of level 3, depending on what those things are. So we now have Iron Skin 2, which, if we take our stuff off, we will see is giving us 6 armor points. And I believe it's giving us 6 shield points as well. So we've got ourselves some iron wine that we can drink now. It's only quality of 0.57 versus 0.59, but that's totally fine. So what happens when you drink this is we get an absorption heart. We don't actually get the absorption potion effect. We just get an absorption heart, and that absorption heart stays there forever, basically until we take damage, and then it will go away. So there's no time limit on it. Oh my gosh, I'm finally hungry enough to show you the olive oil thing. So I have a apple here that's olive oiled, and as you can see, normally the apple would only give me a half of a food pop, so 1 point and 1 point of saturation. So let's see what it actually gives me. So I'm down 4 points, 2 full things, and I have no saturation at all. So that brought me up 1.5. So it added 2 points, and it added 2 points of saturation as well. We got a nice quality wine now, 0.52. So I'm going to come over here and pull this out and put this in. One more potion I want to make and one more wine I want to drink. Wind thistle. Marshmallow root up here to get the next level. And some sugar. Sugar, wind thistle. Oh, and a bottle. Yes, of course. This is speed 2 for 1 minute and 30 seconds. I'm already crazy fast because of my armor. Whee! Well, maybe 1 minute and 30 seconds isn't long enough. Let's drink some wine. So the wine will increase the time of our potions. But we can basically we can extend our potions without having to make a whole new potion again. Okay, we have 34 seconds left. Let's drink this. And we now have 42. Okay, so it only added a little bit. All right, okay. So if we have a bunch, and now we're inebriated, which again is not a problem unless we start drinking more. So one last thing I want to take a look at is this guy, this drying basin. There's only one thing we can do with it, and that is to take some ironberry juice and put it in there, and then wait. Okay, so one of them is done. That gave us 2 piles of iron dust. Okay. So from cutting down 3 trees, from 8 iron berries, I got 4 piles of iron dust. So every 2 iron berries gives you a pile of iron dust. 4 iron berries makes 1 bottle or 1 bucket of juice. And that gets us these 4 piles of iron dust, which we can then put in a furnace to get an iron nugget. So it's a lot of work, and it does take some time, and you do have to smelt each nugget, so you have to do 9 smelting operations. So for each iron ingot that you would want to produce from an iron tree, you'd have to cut down about 4 or 5 iron trees. You have to go through the process of making juice out of it, putting it in the drying basin, and then smelting all 9 of those nuggets in a furnace. So whether or not that's worth automating or not, I'm not sure, but I'm actually going to try. And I may be doing that in a future episode. We may see a tree farm setup with these ironwood saplings that will end up producing a lot of wood, for sure, a ton of wood, and we may smelt some of that into charcoal so that we have charcoal to use. But iron will be the output of desire that we'll see, and we'll see if I can do that in a way that's efficient. So last time we did inventory management. Today we covered Rustic. In the next episode, I'm either going to get into cars or we're going to start our Main Street build. I haven't decided which I'm going to do yet. Both of those are going to be kind of build intensive because we're going to have to build roads for the cars. And we're also going to do automated redstone at some point, some project with automated redstone at some point in the future. And then, of course, the Ironwood Tree farm, if I can figure out a way to fully automate that in an efficient way. So if you do have any questions or comments or whatever about the Rustic mod or anything else, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this, don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. The Chili Pepper Challenge. Oh, I'm not hungry, darn it. It's the Chili Pepper Challenge. Ow. Oh, I'm really hungry. It's a good thing I have these healthy olive-oiled marshmallows to eat. Delicious.